Welcome to The Straight Edge, the podcast where we cut through the noise to build a stronger community. I'm Bill, your host, and together with my wife Denise, we'll be diving into conversations that matter.
We're here to share stories, explore different perspectives, and have some fun along the way. From local stories to broader topics, we've got it all covered.
So, if you're looking for genuine conversations and a sense of community, you're in the right place.
Join us as we embark on this journey together.
This is The Straight Edge. Let's get started. All right, welcome back to another episode of The Straight Edge. Today we've got a guy who's been coming to the shop for almost a decade. He's one of our OGs, Adam Jones. Now, the thing about Adam and I, we can talk about just about damn near anything. The trades, business, crypto, the local events, and economy, nothing's off limits.
Yeah, I remember when Adam came in for his very first haircut. I cut him the very first time, and I've been cutting his hair periodically over the past 10 years or so. I do know Adam's got over 20 years in the trades, so when it comes to how government regulations are affecting industries, he's got firsthand insight. Plus, we'll dive into crypto, market manipulation, and what's happening behind the scenes with XRP and the feds. This is a really packed episode.
And as always, this is straight from the barbershop. So if you hear some clippers and background noise, that's what makes it real. This is the kind of conversation you only get in the chair. So let's get into it with Adam Jones. All right, so we're talking with Adam Jones. So whatever you want to talk about, you and I can always get talking about something.
Oh yeah, you and I cover so many bases, from the trades where I've been involved professionally for over 20 years, to crypto, to local, all things local.
Yep. Well,
There's some really interesting topics to talk about right now.
Absolutely. But you've been coming here for, since before we owned it too.
Yes, I've been here. See, I moved back to Richmond in I think it was 2015. Yeah.
Sounds about right, because I was still working for Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was December 2015 when I moved back to Richmond. So it's been.
We bought it in 2016.
Yep.
Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah. Who knew it's been 10 years, going on 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like we've both been through each other's kind of like progression and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really cool. You guys are in the best position I've seen you in from a business perspective in that 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've got a stable crew of barbers.
Good people.
Good people
Yeah,
too.
good folks, and they're showing up, and everybody seems to provide good service. And I look at your Google reviews, and you have rave reviews across the board.
Right. But man, you've been here, like I said, you're one of the, I don't know, many that have been here coming longer.
I know, there's not many.
Not many. It's probably do it on one or two hands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the OGs. I guess
absolutely.
If you've been coming any longer, you're probably close to needing to put your teeth in a jar at night. You know what I mean?
But speaking of the trades and stuff like that, you were working with Train, were you not?
Yeah, I was
HVAC, but now you're.
Yeah, so I've been in the heating and air conditioning industry for 20 years. I've spent 15 years with Train, and I've spent the last 5 years with Carrier. So I've been around all sorts of regulation changes. In fact, we just recently went through, as of January 1st, went through another regulation change. And the best way to describe it is, what if the government came to you as a homeowner and said, you can no longer put gasoline in your car, you have to use this new fuel that is being used in Europe, but doesn't have a whole lot of history in the U.S.
Right.
That's what just happened to the industry,
Heating
and air industry, January 1st. So it's of this year. It's some really interesting things going on around that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. So what, the actual refrigerant that's
Yeah,
being
the
used?
refrigerant has been mandated. Not that you want to talk about this, but there are two scores, if you will, relative to refrigerant. And one is called an ozone depletion score, So ODP is what the industry calls it. And in the 1950s, we had a refrigerant called R22,
Right.
and it had a low ozone depletion score. In the 90s, the industry started moving over, particularly Carrier, and they had another one called R410A. It had no ozone depletion, but there's another score that's assigned to refrigerant is called a global warming potential score. And it has a score of 2088. The government came out with a regulation that said that OEM manufacturers, so the likes of a Train or Carrier, they can no longer produce equipment that contains 410 refrigerant. It has to be designed for a new refrigerant with an even lower global warming potential score. So it went from 2088, which was the standard, to it now has to fall below 700. So the entire industry just got flipped on its head from a standpoint of having to develop
Basically,
and
to retool in a sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is a mildly flammable refrigerant. So there is a whole new system built into all of the equipment so that if it were to develop a leak, that it dissipates it so that it
Won't ignite.
it won't ignite and create a flammable or combustible event. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a pretty wild thing that we're going through that right now.
Yeah.
In fact, that just happened January 1st.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But outside of that, it's the economy and what's going on with interest rates right now. They are coming back down to earth. People are just not moving because
Right.
everybody that has a house right now, they have what have affectionately referred to as an interest rate handcuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I happen to be one of those folks. Not that I want to move,
Yeah.
but I have a 30-year mortgage with a 2.75% interest rate.
Yeah, we've got a flat 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly. So it's nobody wants to move
no.
because if you want it to move or need it to move, you're putting yourself in harm's way from a standpoint of even with all the additional equity that the interest rates really throw off your monthly obligation on
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
It's funny, like I probably happened to you too. But I keep getting offers from my mortgage company, refinance and pull out your equity and all
Right.
that. Yeah, no, I'm not giving up my 3%.
Yeah, yeah. I'm good. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of regulation or a type of government announcements, I'm sure you and I've chatted about crypto before. Yeah,
I've talked
and
about crypto with
in the top 5 crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano,
XRP.
and XRP are all going to have a government stake as part of our reserve currency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Trump announced a week ago from Sunday. He came up with that one announcement, and of course, everything rocketed for half the day until the tariffs hit the next morning. Then it just tanked again.
Yeah, if you looked at it today, meaning crypto, the crypto market is getting beat up
Oh, it's
pretty.
hemorrhaging.
It has to do primarily it's twofold. It's the tariff threat that has come out, and then secondarily there are talks of recession,
Right.
and no one in the administration at this point are declining or they are declaring that there will not be a recession. So there, in other words, that there's a chance that there could
Right.
be capital in those markets getting placed somewhere else.
Absolutely, that it's being pulled out. The liquidity's being pulled out, and with the stock market too. It's all
Right.
And you've got the one thing about. So I've been doing crypto for a number of years as well. And what's also going on, what I had to do was I've not been watching it every single day because
If you do,
I'm still up. I'm still positive because I was dollar cost averaging in years ago. So I'm
Right.
still up, say. But I would watch my bags do this, and I'm like, yeah. And then now I'm watching them. I held it for a cycle almost. It's a
Yeah.
good time to buy. That market is so heavily manipulated as well.
Yeah.
There are market makers in there who can, because we're back down below a $3 trillion market cap. So it doesn't take that much to move the needle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the market makers.
The
They can move it.
whales, yes.
Yeah, the whales, the market makers can move the needle
Oh, for sure.
and move it fairly easily
Right.
when they want to. Yeah, I don't know. I've got some money sitting on the side still a little bit. I don't know. I
Somebody
keep
wants to
thinking,
put
do I
it in
want to buy some more? Because I was thinking about buying last week, and it's still going down. You know what I mean? But who knows?
Buy and then it go down.
Yeah,
Here,
if you can't time the bottom or the top,
I know.
you know.
you can't, and that's why you mentioned dollar cost averaging. So trying to perfectly time the market is not for you and I, the average
No,
Joe.
you're gonna get wrecked every time.
Yeah, so the best thing to do is to spread out your investments over a period of time, and you're going to average out the purchase or sell position.
So you can set your limits. That's one way you can do it. I'm going to buy at this limit or that. Or you can just say, I'm going to take, and I did it for the first couple of years where I was buying XRP and I was buying it at like 20 cents, 30 cents, 40. It was every Friday. I would take a little bit extra money that I had left over at that time, it was maybe $100, $200. But every Friday I bought, no matter what the price was. I bought on Friday, every
Right.
Friday. So that's another way to dollar cost average. You can like, I'm going to set a set schedule. I'm going to buy every
Right.
week, irregardless. That's for your long time holders. That's not for
Yeah.
people who want to try and swing trade or scalp trade or anything like that. You
Yeah,
just-
and there are a lot of exchanges now that will offer those services
They
for
do.
you with a dollar cost averaging or timed buy, meaning
Right.
that every X period that you set up in the system, they can make a purchase on your behalf. And
Right.
now you've got ETFs and other options that are available so that you're not just buying a singular coin. You can buy into the potential of multiple coins.
So we've bought into Misty ETF and in Coinly, which is Coinbase's, basically based on Coinbase's ETF.
Right,
Bought into those two, and they've been doing well. So, I mean, it's all done on call and put options.
right.
So you're basically buying, well, they'll sell the call options and stuff like that, and I get dividend kind of stuff
Right.
like that. They're selling puts, or buying puts, selling calls, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I try not to get too much into that, but getting a monthly dividend off of that, and then every time when I do, I just take it and put it right back in,
Right.
and buy more.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
that-
I'm firmly believing that just for your listeners, this is not considered to be financial
oh, absolutely not.
or tax advice in
not.
any way, shape, or
Do
form.
your own research.
Yeah, do your own research kind of thing. But what I would suggest is that the crypto market is becoming more and more mainstream.
It is.
And in what
Gotta learn about it.
and what you are likely seeing right now is pretty close to a generational low. So it's just a matter of time before it's going to rebound. There's more
absolutely.
money being invested. XRP in particular has some strong utility where it is it's not very often you hear about a new and improved mousetrap or a better mousetrap,
right.
right? But it is truly a better mousetrap versus a standard wire transfer that a bank does.
Absolutely.
It's faster, it's more cost effective. And the argument about the amount of capital, I mean, it could, if XRP were to get to $10 trillion market cap, right? That is not much when it comes to,
No.
that's 10% of the global financial system. And if it gets there, XRP value from a token perspective has huge upside potential.
Absolutely. The thing about XRP though is it can't be truly measured by market cap though either. It's because it doesn't fit in that definition per
Right.
se. I would recommend anybody who's listening or whatever, if they want to learn more about it and learn more about how, there's a person I follow and a lot of people follow, especially around XRP. It's a guy named Zach Rector. You ever heard of him? He's on Twitter or X,
Yeah.
YouTube. He streams constantly. He's in the thick of it. I'm in DC. I talk to Brad Garlinghouse. I do
Right.
this and that.
Yeah.
The guy, a lot of people look to him when it comes to XRP expertise.
Yeah, and I think that the speculative part of XRP right now is the Securities and Exchange Commission lawsuit.
Right.
And that there is a big date impending on April 16th where there are some motions that will be responded to at that time. And there's a chance that the lawsuit will be dropped, it will be dismissed. There are a lot of different outcomes that can occur from that lawsuit, and that has the XRP market and token particularly depressed right now
Right.
relative to its compadres.
One thing about it is I know, so there's a community we belong to, and there's some guys, they have what's called the Good Morning Crypto show. They're every morning at 11 a.m. on like YouTube and X and stuff like that. And they're but XRP is basically the basis of discussion almost every day too.
Yeah.
This morning they were talking about Garlinghouse says he can't comment on it right now, but there is a resolution to all this, but he can't say anything about if they're paying the fine, if they're doing whatever. He just says there's a resolution coming.
So the best part of that is that I'm listening to the same news you are and same sources, and this may be the first time in the history of a government fine where the asset is not paid in U.S. dollars. It may very well be paid in XRP.
Right.
And that is a serious contender as far as the conversation goes right now.
Absolutely.
So you would literally have the U.S. government holding XRP at that point.
Right.
So it's a really interesting dynamic that's taking place. But you didn't bring me in here I'm here to get my wig smoked, as I like to call it. And
you and I always talk about everything under the sun every time you come in.
We can cover a lot of different topics.
We
for
do,
sure.
and we also, you're always into the two of us both are like, hey, what are you getting into now?
Yeah,
Like
we're forward thinking, and we're always
absolutely.
looking for potential opportunities
Absolutely.
for investments, and
that and just business in general. The move, you're a forward-looking individual. I'm a forward-looking individual. Like
right.
You've done a lot of stuff on your own too. On the side, you started that little handyman kind of venture, and look at you now.
Yeah, that started out really humble and really small, and every day we surprise ourselves. There's more and more opportunity out there.
And that's another thing young men should know too. I would tell them, if you don't know what, I've told, I don't know, countless people in a sense, like if your kid doesn't know what to do or whatever, get handy with something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like as far as hands-on, like not trade or something.
Yeah.
Something in that realm, because
There's a lot of money to be made.
there's a lot of people are always looking for somebody to fix something, to service something,
Yeah.
and there's a shortage of it. There just is.
Yeah, and our kids are being indoctrinated from the
yeah.
time they can talk. That there's all this future talk of, hey, when you go to college, and what are you going to study? And college is important. It has a place in our society, but it's not the end all be all. It's not there are tons of professions that do not require any college whatsoever. And equally as important is that you can learn trades or other things that don't require that college degree, and then you can go out and start your own company, your own business. And that's the part that people are not understanding. One of the biggest wealth generators in the country is small business.
Absolutely.
And you're not learning in high school to go out and start a business. You're learning about everything that you need to learn to go to school, go to college, extend your education, right?
Yep.
And so there are specially designed careers that require that.
Absolutely.
Physicians, attorneys, engineers, scientists, chemists, teachers. There are tons of professions that do need that.
That need that path. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fantastic path and the correct path for those subset of professions. The real trick, though, is there's going to be a point in the future, unless something changes, where rates for a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter or HVAC contractor, those rates will exceed what you pay your attorneys and doctors.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just going to be a matter of supply and demand.
Absolutely. I had that conversation with my kid. He graduated Cosby 2019, and he was looking, we call it the Cosby Kool-Aid, right? He thought he had to go down to a 4-year university. Smart kid, was in AP classes and all that kind of stuff, and was like looking to go to school. I'm like, what is it you want to do? Because I was in property management and facility maintenance services and stuff like that. as a third party provider, and I had all my vendors like plumbers, electricians, and HVAC people, landscapers, and you name it, all talking about how they were hurting for people.
Right.
And I had that conversation with them. I'm like, unless, just exactly what you said, I said, unless your career path dictates the requirement for a further education, I wouldn't recommend it at this point, because you're just going to go get a degree in whatever that you maybe not use. You can come
Right.
out of school heavily in debt, you know. So you're going to come out, pay debt, start paying back debt with a degree that you don't even use to get a entry level job somewhere, kind of thing. Or these trades, most of them are willing to put you through school themselves. Like, they'll pay for your trade school.
Yep, absolutely.
And,
So whether it's welding,
and that's what he ended up
diving,
doing.
under it, carpentry, electrician, you can get an apprenticeship. It's really an underserved from a standpoint of labor.
Yeah.
There's just not enough labor for those industries.
Skilled labor. That's the thing that I've told him. Like, and I've talked to other people, a brother-in-law, kind of who's just working menial jobs too. But I told him, like, find a skill, develop a skill that people will pay you for.
Mm-hmm.
There are skills out there that people require and people need. Doesn't have to be like a trade per se, but a skill. Find a skill
Right.
that sets you apart.
Yep, so true.
Yeah, there's a young man that I forget his name, but he virtual reality, augmented reality,
Oh,
it's really big and growing, and he started the augmented reality company and sold it. I believe it was to Meta/Google for $2 billion. He went to school, and I think he ended up dropping out. It just wasn't a good fit for him. But what he was doing was taking these. There's some technology out there called Arduino
yeah.
that it's uses a little bit of software and a little bit of hardware, and you can program it. And you can program it to do all sorts of stuff. And there are these little circuit boards that you can do anything and everything you want to with it. And it's the extent of your imagination is the extent of what they can do. And he went out and created some hardware and just started selling it. And then he just got more and more sophisticated with it, what he was building.
Right.
And he eventually created augmented reality and built a company and sold it for $2 billion.
Oh, man.
Right? So he is an exception rather than the
Right,
rule.
right.
But that just goes to show what opportunities are out there if you are sufficiently motivated and
Absolutely.
you have some resources available.
Right.
Exactly.
Just start taking some type of action, figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Find a problem and solve it.
yeah, and the best part was that the blog that he was on, it was the Sean Ryan blog.
Yeah.
And he said, and Sean Ryan's son was like, "Hey, how do I get into this more? How can I learn more? I'm not really much of a programmer. I really like the hardware side of things." And the owner's, "That's a phenomenal question, great question." He says, "I can barely program. I know enough to get by today.
Right.
But everything that you want and need is available on YouTube."
Oh, absolutely.
So,
It is.
let me talk about a free education. This is
Absolutely.
a free opportunity to go out and learn about anything. Yeah.
Crypto.
it's-
Yeah. So one of the hardware devices that he built, he brought to the show, and this hardware it could mimic a Wi-Fi signal, and then all the computers in the area would attach to this Wi-Fi signal, and then he could access all the computers by doing so. Now, the U.S.
Yeah.
the U.S. government.
Yeah, I'm sure they showed up
he's,
at his
he's,
door.
He's selling his technology to the U.S. government.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things that he created was a USB cable. Looks like a standard USB cable to charge your device, but what you don't know is that he can once you plug that device into your computer or phone, he can remotely access your device, and you have no idea that it's happening. It's all happening behind the scenes.
That's
Wow.
great.
But it was all self-taught.
Right.
100% of it is self-taught. So if this really curious homeschool kid from Minnesota or Wisconsin
Yeah.
can do that, what can someone sufficiently motivated
Right.
and some curiosity could do, right?
Right. Well, that's the thing about now, today's day and age. Information is out there. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. And it's readily accessible. Like you say, YouTube.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of my crypto stuff off of YouTube. You
Right.
know. Now you got to learn to separate the wheat from the chaff, right?
Right.
And that kind of, there's some clowns out there telling you the absolute wrong thing.
Right.
But then you can find the credible people who steer you clear or steer you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Hey, good chatting with you, man.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Appreciate you coming in. All right, that was Adam Jones, everybody. Adam's been coming through this shop for almost a decade. And every time he sits in that chair, we end up covering just about anything and everything, from the economy to crypto to what's really happening in the trades. He's not just a customer. He's become part of our barbershop family at this point.
Yeah, and that's what makes this podcast special. These aren't just interviews. They're the same real unfiltered conversations we've been having here for years. If you've ever sat in one of our chairs, you'll know exactly what we mean.
So if you got something out of this, do us a favor. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who you think would appreciate it. And if you're local, as you already know, stop by the shop. You never know who you'll run into or what kind of conversation you'll walk in on.
All right, that's it for today. So stay sharp, stay engaged, stay bold, and as always, keep it real. And we'll catch you next time on The Straight Edge.